Sbu, I'll come to you just as Zianda is getting prepared there. What have you been noting throughout the course of this week, especially as the messaging has been very clear? The supporters of former President Jacob Zuma have been right by his side, saying he is not going to jail. They say that his health is at risk here. He's 79, and the fact that he's essentially, according to them, done nothing wrong.
Well, obviously, I mean, we have all seen those scenes out here with the supporters of the former president coming out, camping outside his home. But the events of the past 24 hours, they actually show a sudden shift in not only in the attitude of the former president, but also in his approach as well. Because I think the fact that he filed those two applications, one in the Pietermaritzburg High Court to stay his pending arrest, if he does not hand himself over, and also the one that is submitted to the Constitutional Court applying for the 15-month sentence that was handed to him to be rescinded. That tells you that, after all, I think that it may well be a realization that the initial strategy of Mr. Jacob Zuma did not work. In fact, in the very papers that he submits to the Constitutional Court asking them to rescind that sentence, he does hint at a possibility that his stance may have been ill-advised, and saying that his further application to the court is not to offend the court. Now, we have seen a number of statements coming from the former president where he has said unequivocally that he is ready to go to jail. In fact, in the last letter that he wrote to the Constitutional Court, that's where he penned a 21-page missive to the Chief Justice Mukhweng. Now, even there, he had been asked to submit an affidavit, and he flatly refused to do that and instead sent a letter to the Chief Justice saying that the Constitutional Court was a sham and the whole process was actually intended to inconvenience him. He said at that time he is ready to be a prisoner of the Constitutional Court. Now we hear that the Deputy President is not necessarily ready to be a prisoner after all. Now he's applying that he not be locked up, that actually suggesting that that sentence is a bit unfair for a man his age. But as I said, there is anticipation that tomorrow the former president will address supporters, not here, but in Durban. Now we know that he's been given 5 days. Now the 5-day period for him to hand himself over expires tomorrow. And it doesn't mean that he will automatically walk into the prison gates, but there are 3 more days before which the Minister of Police and the Commissioner and the police are given to make sure that they hand him over to the nearest correctional center. Now, this tells me that what his supporters, maybe the attitude of his supporters, is totally different to the current tone of the former president. And it may well be, in fact, my reading in the fact that you've got some of his supporters camped outside Nkandla, but he is going to Durban to address supporters. Now, what does that suggest? That suggests to me that he probably wants to take away the eyes from Nkandla, and perhaps try and, without being forceful, but to subtly move his supporters away from Nkandla. But also, more importantly, before I hand over back to you, the scenes that we're seeing here, we do not have multitudes or hundreds of people here. I mean, it's 10, 20 or 30 people at any given time. It's not like we have hundreds of people camped out in Nkandla out to support the former president,